Hey gang, it's Chris, and here's what I've been thinking about. So I get that the 2014 Winter Olympics have been planned for Sochi, Russia for more than 6 years, and I get that the Olympics are a financial juggernaut, and that billions of dollars in sponsor money have already been poured into Sochi, and that rearranging something on 6 months' notice that took 7 years to plan is pretty ludicrous. But with all that said, I'm squarely in the camp that believes Russia's persecution of LGBT people is ample reason for the IOC to pull the Olympics out of Russia. Now, I'm not suggesting that LGBT athletes should boycott or the United States should pull out. I'm suggesting the IOC take the Olympics out of Russia entirely and present the games at an alternate site. Return them to a recent location in Vancouver, Turin, Salt Lake City, or Nagano. Delay the games by a year or two if necessary. Yes, it's a lot to ask and there are a lot of sponsor dollars on the line, but what's happening to LGBT people in Russia is horrifying. Gay people have been raped with crowbars and broken bottles. They've been lured into traps through personal ads and their torture uploaded on video to the internet. Artists and activists have been thrown into prison for nothing more than advocating their own personal freedom. I want to read you a quote. This is from Dmitry Kiselov, an anchorman and a leader of Russia's state-run media. In a recent speech, he said, "I believe it is not enough to impose fines on gays for engaging in the propaganda of homosexuality among adolescents. We need to ban them from donating blood and sperm. And if they die in car accidents, we need to bury their hearts in the ground or burn them, as they are unsuitable for the aiding of anyone's life." Now you can watch this video online. Please note that the audience cheers. Frankly, I'm getting sick of the bullshit rationalizations I'm hearing from people who think the Olympics should go ahead as planned, including President Obama, who says he has no tolerance for discrimination, but thinks the US should go ahead with participation in Sochi. The Russian government assures the IOC that athletes will be safe. As the Russian government has made quite clear recently, the anti-gay law will be fully in effect at the Olympics, meaning any athlete or fan who, in the eyes of the Russian government, promotes non-traditional sexual relationships will be subject to punishment. What about the native Russians being arrested, tortured, and persecuted for their sexual orientation? Are their lives not worth as much because they're not in line for a podium position? More recent statements from the IOC seem to suggest they'll help the Russians enforce their anti-gay laws, and that athletes who do things like wear rainbow pins or show pride flags or otherwise expose their sexual orientation may be censored or silenced. Think the best way to demonstrate is for athletes to show support on the podium? LGBT advocacy groups inside Russia have said public shows of support won't help. They won't even be seen inside the country, thanks to state-run media, censorship, and the video delay. These groups say the best way to send a message is to hit the Kremlin in their wallet, and they've asked allies to withdraw support from sponsors and from the games entirely. Think a boycott won't hurt the Russians, but only hurt the athletes who want to compete? These are planned to be the most expensive Olympics in the history of the Games. Some estimates put the dollar value as high as $50 billion, and most of that is going into the Russian economy. Reuters reports that Putin has recruited his own wealthy backers to help foot the bill, and that one of them plans to use the Sochi Olympics to launch the new ski resort he's built in the region. Don't tell me that pulling the games out of Russia wouldn't send a clear message to Putin and the rest of the Russian government, that if you want to be discriminatory, it's going to cost you. I've even heard some people claim this is a chance for LGBT athletes to have their Jesse Owens moment, which is a terrible comparison. Jesse Owens proved something by beating the greatest athletes from a society that believed his race was physically and mentally inferior. A view, incidentally, widely shared in Owens' home country. It's generally left out in most history books, but when Jesse Owens came back to the United States after triumphantly defeating the Nazis, President Roosevelt refused to host him at the White House. So, yeah. But the Russian problem with LGBT people isn't based around the idea that they're physically inferior. And there are more than enough LGBT athletes who've proved that point already. People like Billie Jean King, Martina Navratilova, Greg Louganis, Matthew Meacham, Orlando Cruz, and Tom Daley. Okay, so maybe that last one was wishful thinking. There's a link in the description to Wikipedia's list of LGBT athletes. In summary, it's pretty long. More importantly, the 1936 Olympics were held 3 years before the start of the Holocaust, the Nazi invasion of Poland, or the start of World War II in Europe. Which means Jesse Owens' historic performance, symbolically powerful as it was, did nothing to prevent or lessen the atrocities committed against people the Nazis labeled inferior. What does the future hold for LGBT people living in Russia? I don't know. And I'm absolutely not saying this is exactly like the Holocaust, because that would be both grossly inaccurate and incredibly disrespectful to Holocaust victims. But I also don't want to be looking back in 3 or 6 or 9 years and remembering how we all appeased the Russians at Sochi the way we did the Nazis in 1936. It's time for the United States and every nation in the world to take a stand for basic human rights, including the health and safety of LGBT people. It's time for consumers and sponsors to send a clear message that they will not subsidize the persecution and torture of people based on their sexual orientation. And that decency is more important than Olympic medals. The Olympics are supposed to symbolize peaceful competition, a coming together of the nations of the world to respect and honor the capacity for human achievement. Without respect for basic human freedoms, those medals symbolize nothing more than skating faster or skiing better than some other particular people on some particular day. Well, that and corporate profits. Put me square on the list with Stephen Fry, George Takei, and Brent Corrigan. Russia has no business hosting the Olympics. Come 2014, if the games are still in Sochi, I won't be watching, and I won't be patronizing any network or company that's sponsoring. So you know where I stand, but I want to know what you think. Is there any good reason for nations that respect LGBT rights to continue their participation in Sochi? Beyond simple money? Will you watch the games if they stay in Russia? And support sponsors that are pouring billions of dollars into the Russian economy? And why do you think Tom Daly won't return my phone calls? Is it because I'm fat? As always, I do ask that you keep your comments civil. You don't have to agree with me, but you do have to find a polite way to tell me that I'm an idiot. I'll be back next week, or maybe a little sooner with a couple of bonus videos. Until then, thank you for watching, thank you for thinking, and if you're Vladimir Putin, just come out of the closet already.